All right. Hey there, fellow deep divers. You're here because you like to cut through the noise and get right to the good stuff. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going deep, really deep, into the world of artistic journaling, figuring out why it matters, how it helps us unlock those creative energies, and how the tools we use can actually make a real difference. We've got some really cool insights to share, especially when it comes to journals that are specifically designed with artistic expression in mind. Like, we've all heard of those Listallian journals, right? So, yeah, today's mission to figure out how we can use a journal to unleash our inner artists and figure out how to navigate those little roadblocks we all hit and maybe even pick up a few practical techniques along the way. I've even got a story I think you'll connect with. I'll share it a bit later.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for a lot of us, there's this draw to expressing our inner world visually, experimenting with different artistic styles, or maybe just documenting our creative journey in a visual way. Artistic journaling really offers a path for that. It's like a personal haven, your own private studio where you can play with sketches, written thoughts, and any artistic impulse that comes up. It sort of naturally becomes this living record of your creative path, showing you how much you've grown and sparking new ideas for what you might do next.
All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. So, one of the first things that trips people up, not just with art, but with anything creative, is when they're working with tools that just don't quite cut it. It's like we've all been there, right? You're in the zone, an idea sparks, you put your pen to paper, or maybe even start a light watercolor wash, and then bam, the ink bleeds through, or the page is so thin it feels like it'll rip if you look at it wrong. I mean, it
Yeah.
can totally kill your creative flow.
Totally. And that's exactly why choosing the right notebook is so important. A lot of people already know about Listallian journals, and they were created with those frustrations in mind. They use this thick 120 GSM wood-free ivory paper, which basically means you get a surface that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it, even light watercolor without that dreaded bleed-through. It really gives you the freedom to experiment without worrying about messing up the page or the next few pages.
And it's not just about the paper, is it? I've noticed Listallian journals use these dashed lined pages. Seems like a pretty intentional design choice. What's the thinking behind that?
Yeah, it's all about finding a good balance.
Right.
So you get this subtle structure, a sort of gentle guide for layouts, or even for mixing text with your visuals. But it's not as limiting as having a fully lined page can be. It just supports that more natural, free-flowing creativity that's so important for artistic journaling. They've also thought about practicality. A durable, soft, faux leather cover so you can take it with you easily. And then there's that really useful back pocket. You can stash little bits of inspiration in there.
Oh, back pockets in a notebook. Those are the best. Those little scraps of paper, maybe a sticker you love, or even a little photo that gives you an idea. Perfect for that. And they come in both softcover and hardcover, right? That handy A5 size. I think I remember seeing some of the colors like Arejua, ash gray black, and Grano cocoa brown for the soft covers, and then this classic black faux leather and classic brown for the hard covers. Lots of choices to fit your style.
Definitely. Now let's move beyond the physical tools for a minute. Let's talk about some of those mental blocks that can pop up with artistic journaling. That blank page staring back at you, feeling stuck creatively, or even being afraid to mess up and somehow ruin the whole notebook. These are all totally normal things to feel.
For sure. I have this cousin who loves sketching, and she got this beautiful, expensive sketchbook once. It sat on her desk for ages. She told me later she felt almost frozen by those perfectly white pages, like her first mark had to be worthy of the book or something.
That feeling of intimidation is really common. And prompts can be a good way to get over it. Resources on artistic journaling will often have great suggestions to get you started. Maybe sketching a scene you see right in front of you, using certain colors to show how you're feeling, or even responding visually to a line from a song or a poem you like. These prompts can help you break through that initial resistance and get your creative juices flowing.
Makes sense. You're not pressured to come up with a masterpiece from the get-go. You're just responding to a suggestion. And speaking of, I noticed that Listallian journals have numbered pages and a table of contents already set up. Super useful, especially as your journal starts filling up with ideas.
Oh, absolutely. Think of it this way. As your artistic journal grows, it becomes this treasure chest of all your creative explorations and thoughts. But without some organization, trying to find that one sketch you did months ago can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. Having those numbered pages and the table of contents lets you bring order to your creative process. You can easily find things from before, see how your skills have developed over time. It adds this element of intentionality, which I think is really valuable.
Yeah, I get that. It turns your journal from just a bunch of random sketches into a real visual diary of your artistic journey. It's all connected. The material we have also talks about using mixed media as a way to spark fresh ideas.
Right. Don't limit yourself to just one type of material. Experiment with adding different textures like washi tape, bits of fabric, or even dried leaves. Or try combining different drawing tools. And having that high-quality paper in a Stallion journal makes all the difference. You can experiment freely without worrying about ruining the page or having things bleed through.
Okay, so we've talked features, but you know what they say? Features tell, stories sell. So let's imagine how some of these features might play out in someone's actual artistic life. Take the thick paper, for example. Now, I get my cousin's hesitation with that blank page, but I also have this friend, Liam, who was super excited to try adding some light watercolor to his notebook. The paper was so thin, the colors just bled through and ruined like several pages, totally killed his enthusiasm for experimenting with watercolors. Having a Stallion journal with that thick 120 GSM paper would have changed everything for him. He could have explored without that worry holding him back.
Yeah, exactly. It takes away a big obstacle and just lets you have a more fluid and enjoyable experience creatively. What about those dashed lines we talked about? Imagine someone who feels stifled by those solid, straight lines. Someone who wants to sketch more organically, but still likes having a subtle guide for notes or borders around their art. The dashed lines are like a perfect middle ground. Structure, but without squashing that feeling of creative freedom. I can picture someone finally feeling confident enough to add their thoughts to their visual ideas, something they might have avoided if the notebook was just lined.
And those numbered pages with the table of contents. Oh man, I've had those moments where I'll jot down this amazing idea on a random scrap of paper or in a notebook and it just vanishes. Poof. Like the idea disappeared into thin air. Having a system built right in, like those numbered pages and that table of contents, would be a game changer. No more frantically searching through old notebooks trying to remember that one fleeting thought.
Absolutely. It's about creating a system you can trust for all those creative thoughts. And you wouldn't think it, but that little back pocket can be so useful. Think about someone who collects little things that inspire them. Maybe a postcard with a color palette they love, a small photo that sparked an idea, or even a quote they cut out from a magazine. The back pocket in a Stallion journal is perfect for keeping those little treasures safe and easy to find whenever they need a boost of inspiration.
It's amazing how these little details can make such a big difference in how we experience journaling. Speaking of personal journeys, we have Emily's story. She's an aspiring artist, and using a Stallion journal for artistic journaling was a big part of her creative growth.
Emily's story is a perfect example of how all these features work together. She really wanted to be creative, but she was overwhelmed by life and just felt disorganized artistically. The design and the quality of the Stallion journal really spoke to her. And setting that simple goal of creating just one page a day, using those prompts to overcome that initial blank page fear, was how she built momentum. Those dashed lines gave her the structure she needed without making her feel boxed in.
It's amazing how her journal became this mosaic of her creative journey. I can just picture those pages filled with all these different ideas and explorations. And it's really cool that she specifically mentioned how Stallion's design and the paper quality helped her find her artistic voice. Really shows how the right tools can make a difference.
Totally. They take away those physical limitations and let you focus on expressing yourself. Now, the resources we've looked at also offer some really practical tips for getting started or taking your artistic journaling to the next level. Like we talked about mixed media, which is totally doable with the thick paper you get in Stallion journals.
Yeah, for sure. It's like having permission to go wild and not worry about ruining anything. They also talk about the importance of textures. Using things like washi tape, little scraps of fabric, or even natural things like pressed flowers adds another dimension to your journal entries.
Definitely. It's not just visual anymore. It engages your sense of touch, too. Creating themed pages is another cool suggestion. Dedicating sections of your journal to specific things, like maybe gratitude reflections, dream interpretations, or even visual responses to special memories, helps you focus your journaling and can lead to some pretty cool self-discoveries.
Layering techniques sound interesting too, like putting different materials on top of each other. Text, drawings, stickers. Creates depth and visual interest. And of course, just the basic practice of sketching freely without worrying about being perfect and using those prompts when you hit a creative wall.
All these techniques, combined with a solid notebook like a Stallion journal, can help you build a really fulfilling and consistent art practice. And we can't forget about the mental health side of it. Artistic journaling can be a powerful way to express your emotions. It gives you a private, safe space to process your feelings and clear your mind. Focusing on something creative can be a mindful escape from daily stress. You can process things visually instead of just intellectually, which can lead to a different kind of understanding and release.
That's so important. It's not just about making pretty art, it's about using art as a tool for self-discovery and processing emotions, connecting with yourself on a deeper level. And as you keep working with your artistic journal, the benefits just keep growing. You see your creativity blossoming, you have a real record of your artistic journey, it can help you relieve stress, and looking back at old ideas can inspire whole new projects.
For sure. And the features we talked about in the Stallion journals, the ribbon bookmark to easily find your page, that back pocket for keeping inspiration close, even the way the softcover feels in your hand, they all make the whole experience more enjoyable and ultimately more sustainable. It really becomes a trusted companion in your creative life.
So, bringing it all together, it's pretty clear that having a well-designed journal, especially one made with artistic expression in mind, like those Listallian journals, can be a huge asset. It's not just about having a place to create, it's about having a space that encourages you to experiment, helps you stay organized, and ultimately helps you find your own unique artistic voice.
Exactly. It's an invitation to explore, to document, and to grow creatively. So if you're listening and you've got that creative spark, or maybe you've been struggling to find a consistent outlet, think about how having a dedicated artistic journal could help you.
And on that note, here's something to think about. What stories could your own artistic journal tell? What would it say about your journey of self-expression and creativity? Think about the power of capturing your ideas, your progress, and your unique perspective one page at a time. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.